Station. This is Houston on Space Ground 2. Are you ready for the event?
This is the International Space Station. We are ready for the event.
HESTEC Conference. This is Mission Control in Houston. Please call the station for a voice check.
Hello there. This is Congressman Rubén Hinojosa from Deep South Texas, and this is HESTEC. How do you hear me?
Congressman Hinojosa and HESTEC, sir, it's great to speak to you again. I hear you excellent.
Let me tell you, we are so proud that you are from McAllen, Texas, and Deep South Texas, and we're all rooting for you.
Thank you very much. I've been to HESTEC. I used to be a student there.
Oh, that is wonderful. We started it 10 years ago.
We're supposed to start with the questions, so let's get the students up here, please.
My name is Andrea, and my question is, what experiments are you currently working on?
Hey, Andrea, working on a lot of different experiments. We have different furnace-type experiments, which are melting things and then growing the crystals and as they solidify without the forces of gravity. We're doing plant growth experiments. We're doing combustion or fire kind of experiments. And I'm a guinea pig in a number of different experiences about the effects of zero-G and how to minimize the bone loss and muscle loss and things like that during long duration.
Hello, my name is Jacob, and my question is, what is the mission or goal for your current space flight?
Hey, Jacob, that's a great question. Well, right now, our job is to take care of the space station and keep it running and to conduct the different science experiments on board. It's been a great challenge for me. It's been the adventure of a lifetime to be here. The first university that I attended was Pan American University, where you are right now, as I started taking classes back there long ago. And always, while I was walking to the night classes at Pan Am, I'd look up at the stars and dream about being up here someday, and I can't believe I really am here. But it's mainly to keep the space station running, to keep the crew working effectively and well together, and to continue moving all of the science projects forward that we can.
My name is Allegra, and my question is, since you aren't using the shuttle anymore, what will you be using?
Hey, that's a great question. We saw the last space shuttle come and go from the space station while I was here. And that was an amazing thing. It was a very emotional thing for me as the program lasted 30 years and was incredibly successful. Right now, for humans going back and forth to the space station, we're using the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. That's how I arrived here about 3.5 months ago, was on a Russian spacecraft. Which was quite an adventure in its own way. I grew up in the valley, of course, speaking some Spanish, and as a kind of a second language or being exposed to it. And so in order to do this, I had to learn a lot of Russian, which was a very, very different challenge for me. But it was quite an adventure. I flew 2 times on the space shuttle. And so my third flight now came up here on the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. The future is changing rapidly, though. The United States is working on several different ideas for human spacecraft. In the next 10 years or so, we hope very much to see some of these coming to being. At the same time, we're using different cargo ships, Russian cargo ships, European cargo ships, Japanese cargo ships, and we're real close to launching the first American cargo ships, probably in the next 4 to 6 months to begin coming up to the space station too. Great question.
My name is Jackie, and my question is, With this being your longest mission in space, how are you adjusted to microgravity?
Hey, Jackie, great question. I thought after 2 weeks on a shuttle mission that I was adjusted to microgravity, but I found here after 1 month and even 2 months, I'm still continuing to learn, and my body continues to adjust a little bit. I feel like I'm very, very much stabilized right now where things aren't changing, but the fluid shift is the first thing. Your head gets full, like you have a cold, and it's pressure in your head because your body has a lot of fluid in it that without the gravity pulling that fluid down to your lower torso and your legs, it kind of goes up here and makes your head feel really full and kind of gives you a headache. So your body adjusts in those ways. You learn how to move up here, and that's really a cool thing. To really, instead of kind of stumbling around and bumping into things a whole lot, you learn to move. I think of it kind of like moving like a cat, or maybe moving like Spider-Man through as you're going through and you're grabbing things and you're flying along. And so those are part of the adaptation. Part of it, too, is just learning how to work up here. Working with stuff is actually hard because things don't stay on a workbench like they do at home. You start to take something apart. Here, you've got to tack down each piece as you're working on it. Each tool, while you're not using it, you have to make sure it's tacked down or it's in a bag or secured with Velcro, because when you lose stuff up here, it doesn't fall to your feet. It can fall to the ceiling or the walls, and it can bounce and just keep going. And so that takes a lot of getting used to, is controlling your stuff and learning how to find it when you do lose it. Happens all the time, unfortunately. Great question.
My name is Marisa, and my question is, what does it feel like to float?
Hey, Marisa, that's a good question. Let me see if I can demonstrate that a little bit without going completely out of control here. It feels kind of like you're a superhero. Yeah, there we go. Where you're moving and you're floating and you're not touching anything. You can get stuck too because you can't swim in the air. You can't swim. You really need to hold on to things. And so now I'm going to go out of control while I try to get my feet back down on the floor.
My name is Maya, and my question is, when you get back from space, does your body have to adjust to being on Earth?
Oh, yes, Maya, it sure does. Up here, because we're in zero gravity, our spines stretch. The little discs between the bones in our back stretch some. They get relaxed. And so I've grown about 1 inch to 1.5 inches up here. Unfortunately, when I get back to the ground, I'm going to scrunch back down, and that'll be part of the adjustment. Part of the adjustment's learning how to walk again, because right now I use my feet, but I use them in a different way. I have them hooked underneath handrails, and I'm holding on with my toes kind of hooked underneath things. You have to, but there's a lot of those things, and I talked about that fluid shift when you come to space, and the fluid that's no longer being held down in your legs and stuff comes back, comes up. In zero or back in gravity again, it's pulling your blood and other fluids down, and so you have to rehydrate, drink a lot more fluid to get your body back up to a normal place. So the adjustment, for most people, you get a lot of change where you're used to being back home in the first few days, 3, 4, 5 days, but it really takes about 1 month or 2 months before you're feeling close to normal.
Thank you. My name is Veronica, and my question is, what is the difference in responsibilities of a flight commander versus a flight engineer?
As we're all, crew members up here, and we have our different assigned responsibilities. As the commander, then I'm the guy kind of in charge. Now, we're all working for mission control and really mission control centers all over the globe, in Houston, in Moscow, Huntsville, Alabama, in Japan, and so there's, and in Germany we have control centers all over the world, and we're working for those different flight directors and directors in those control centers. But up here we need one person that's in charge, and for this period of time, that's me. And so mostly we work things together, and we just decide what we're going to do, and so that's kind of it, though. In a nutshell, is somebody's got to be in charge, and that person's me for now.
My name is Jason, and my question is, what food do you miss eating the most?
Hey, Jason. I think the two things I miss the most is I'd really love a good pizza right now with a big, thick, chewy, cheesy crust on it. That would taste really good, because our foods are rehydrated foods or foods in foil packs and stuff. So we have bread, but it's kind of packaged to say, shelf life about a year or two, and things like that. The other thing that I really miss the most is a big mug of just hot black coffee. Instead, we have coffee in little foil pouches, kind of like this one right here, and it's just not the same as sitting down in the morning with my cup of coffee and my newspaper to get ready for the day. Instead, I sit down with a bag of coffee and my computer screen to read the morning messages before starting work. So I look forward to pizza and a cup of coffee, not necessarily at the same time.
Thank you.
My name is Matthew, and my question is, do you lose or gain weight in space?
Now Matthew broke it.
Fluid shift I talked about, once your body adjusts to the zero gravity, it finds out you don't need as much blood volume, and so you will lose some of that liquid. So most of us lose just a few pounds, not a big deal.
My name is Chris, and my question is, what inspired you to become an astronaut?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What inspired you to become an astronaut?
Oh, you bet. Now I understand. For me, it was kind of a natural progression of things. I grew up in the early days of the space program. I was actually born 2 months after the Sputnik satellite was the first man-made object, in orbit around the Earth. And so I grew up when going to space was an amazing thing, and watching the missions that led up to us landing on the moon, I remember vividly. And I just, like every other just red-blooded kid in the world, I said, man, I want to do that someday. And growing up in McAllen, in the valley, I thought that was the furthest thing from possible that you could even dream of, that there's no way such a thing could happen. But you know what? That's not true. It's really not true. Somehow, part of me didn't believe the dream, but part of me never completely gave up with it. And so when I was in school, I tried to do my best, and I wasn't always the top of my class. I was pretty rarely the top of my class, but I was working hard and dreaming, and using that dream to give me a direction and a motivation to stay in school and keep working hard. And I knew, one day that education and the hard work was going to pay off, and I'm really blessed that it's paid off in this way.
My name is Ashley, and my question is, what do you do for entertainment on the ISS?
Oh, that's an easy one. What we do for entertainment up here when we have some free time is look out the windows. There's always something amazing to see. Our planet is just incredibly beautiful as it rotates beneath us. Looking out the window, we're going about 5 miles a second, and so we cover a lot of ground very quickly. But it's always amazing to see what the world looks like, what Texas looks like, what the valley looks like going overhead as we're ripping down up the Gulf Coast, across the country, across the globe, looking down on the planet without all those colored lines that we draw and call borders. looking at the planet at night and seeing the cities where people are and the lights are on. And it's astonishing to go across the United States and Europe and you know, the different parts of the world and see what they look like at night, because it's very, very different. And then there's the stars, and I love looking at the stars. I've loved that since I was a kid, as a Boy Scout in the valley, going camping and going out into the you know, out away from the city lights and looking up at the night sky. And here it's really, really amazing, because the stars are steady without the twinkle that is caused by our atmosphere. And so it's always amazing to look out the windows, and that entertains us for hours on end, if we only had hours on end to do it.
Hello, my name is Jesus. And how does being on the International Space Station change your view about the Earth and humanity?
Oh, that's a profound question there. I think, you know, for me, it's like I mentioned before, you really get a sense that the Earth is one place. You know, when we're on the ground and we're watching the news and we're going about our business in our little corners, you know, of this globe, we think of it all very locally. And that's appropriate. Up here, though, when you can go across countries in seconds, maybe not seconds, but certainly well, you know, go across countries very quickly, and go across continents in minutes, you really get a sense that we are on, you know, one place. And spaceship Earth, you know, is a finite place. It's a small place, and you know, in some places it's a crowded place. And you kind of wish that we could all just live and work here together in a friendlier way, in a more cooperative way, because it is one world, one planet, you know, one atmosphere. The oceans are all joined together, and so we share so much. And I think we need to learn how to take care of that together and be good stewards of this gift that we have. I think that's probably just an awareness of those kind of things is the biggest to me. Good question.
My name is Diego, and my question is, having logged over 1,000 hours in 34 different aircrafts, which aircraft was your favorite and why?
Hey, Diego, I think my favorite, without a doubt, is the F-16, military Air Force aircraft. I spent a lot of years working on that airplane, helping develop it as a flight test engineer, and then working in the program office. And you know, it's a very high performance airplane, very good at what it does. And I've got a lot of my own fingerprints on the design and the capabilities in that airplane. So I got to say, I love the F-16. Great question.
Hi, my name is Noah, and my question is, how and where do you sleep on the space station?
Hey, Nora, that's a good practical question. We actually we sleep in sleeping bags because, you know, we don't really have beds. And beds wouldn't make much sense because most of your bed is big frames to hold mattresses and spring cushions and things like that, which we don't need up here. And sleeping bags, we have plenty of room for sleeping bags because they don't have to go on the floor like you might use them at your house when you have friends over. We can put them on the walls or the ceiling just as easily as we can put them on the floors. Each of us has a little, we call them crew quarters. It's really kind of like a crew closet. It's about the size, just a little bigger maybe than an old phone booth, and that's where our sleeping bag is located, and some of our personal stuff, and a little computer so I can go in there and I can do email, and there's actually a phone hookup through my computer so I can call my wife and my kids. So it's kind of like I said, it's about the size of a broom closet you might have close to your kitchen. Good question.
Last question.
Hi, my name is Fernando, and my question is, if you weren't an astronaut, what job would you consider?
Wow, now that's a really interesting question. I've done a lot of different things. I had a lot of different part-time jobs, summer jobs, school jobs. when I was growing up. I think probably one of the hardest jobs that I've done. Of course, I was in the military. I did flight test, and I loved the flight test business, working as a flight test engineer, and very challenging, very rewarding work to being in the military, to serving our country in that way. For me, another one too that I enjoyed for a period of time was teaching, and I can see teaching someday. I actually worked as a substitute high school teacher for 4 to 5 months in between being on active duty in the Air Force and starting work at NASA. And that was such an amazing thing, to be in a classroom like your teachers are all the time, and they're some of the just bravest, hardest working people there are. But I've been in those shoes just a little bit, not like they are, where they're really responsible for you and your learning all year long. But it gave me a real appreciation for teaching. My wife is a teacher now too, and I know how hard that she works, but I know how rewarding it is to see the students that are coming to life and are waking up and are enjoying what they're learning and are excited about it, because that's why teachers teach. They teach because they love it, and they love working with you and seeing you understand and let the pieces start fitting together in your head, and as you start to understand this stuff. And the reason that's so rewarding is because they know that's preparing you for your tomorrow. It's giving you the skills that you need to pursue your dreams, whatever they might be, whether it's to take my place up here in a few years, or to be a teacher yourself, or any kind of businessman or an engineer or a scientist. What you learn in the classroom is building your foundation for your future to follow whatever your dreams might be. And that's why teachers love it so much. That's why they keep doing what they're doing. And I think maybe teaching in some way. Thanks for the question. It was a great one.
Thank you.
Commander, these 5 glass students have a message for you representing 1,500 other boys and girls here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Bye, Commander. Bye, Commander.
Goodbye. And thank you for visiting with us. It's been a great, great experience.
Congressman Hinojosa, thank you very much, sir. Your support for HESTEC is amazing. You're bringing a lot of ideas and energy into the valley, into the lives of these students who are going to be changed by this in so many ways. And our future depends on them. We give it to them and to their energy, to their skills, and ideas to lead us into the future. Thank you very much, Congressman. And to all the students at HESTEC and all the teachers and supporters that make it happen, thank you very much. You guys enjoy the day. Make the best out of it. This is Mike Fossum on the International Space Station, signing out.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
At conference, Congressman Hinojosa and the University of Texas Pan American. Station, we are now resuming operational communications.